Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, partnering with donors from all walks of life to improve southeastern Virginia through grants, scholarships, and leadership initiatives. Learn more at hamptonroadscf.org.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Hamley. Another View is broadcasting live from the African American landing at Fort Monroe. This is a sacred space commemorating the place where the first 20 and odd Africans landed in English North America in 1619. On today's show, we learn the history, reflect on the impact of enslaved Africans in America, and discover why we must share this history with generations to come. Plus, a sneak peek at a new installation at the memorial. It's called The Figures. Stay tuned. Another View will be right back after this national, regional, and local news from NPR and WHRO News.
Discussing today's topics from an African-American perspective, this is Another View.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Hamley. You can hear the joy in the air. We're broadcasting in front of a live audience at the African Landing Memorial at Fort Monroe. This is the place where the first enslaved Africans arrived from Angola, forever challenging the concept of freedom and democracy. We have an outstanding panel of guests joining us to share this critical history, so let's meet them. Eola Dance is an ethnohistorian with more than 20 years' experience in history, art, culture, and preservation. Eola served as the first descendant of enslaved people to hold the position of president and CEO of a presidential site, and the first African-American woman to serve as the superintendent at Point Comfort, the location of the African landing in 1619. Hey, Eola, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Wanda Tucker is a direct descendant of Isabel and Anthony, two of the first recorded enslaved Africans brought to English North America in 1619. Her ancestors were stolen from Angola, surviving the Middle Passage before being traded at Point Comfort, Virginia. For generations, her family passed down this history orally, maintaining a historic Black cemetery in Hampton, Virginia, against decades of erasure. Dr. Tucker, it is an honor to have you with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And Nikkolas Smith is an artivist, concept artist, #1 New York Times bestseller picture book creator, film concept artist, and movie poster designer. He received his Master of Architecture from Hampton University. Among his numerous accomplishments, he is the illustrator of the #1 New York Times bestseller, The 1619 Project, Born on the Water, in collaboration with Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Nikole Hannah-Jones and award-winning author Renee Watson. His picture book, The History of We, his first hand-painted picture book, is a 2026 Cybert Honor book, the winner of the 2026 Jane Addams Children's Book Award, and was nominated for an NAACP Image Award. His latest illustrated picture book, A Change Is Gonna Come, brings the life of Sam Cooke's legendary and beloved civil rights anthem. Welcome, Nikkolas.
Thank you.
Wow, this is such an incredible day. I mean, first of all, it's a beautiful day. I had an opportunity to see the statue prior to coming on, and I don't want to talk about my reaction right yet, but we'll get into that. But Eola, I want to start with you, because for those who may be listening who are not familiar with Point Comfort and with what happened here back in 1619, can you give us the history?
Absolutely. In 1619, it was late August when the White Lion landed here at Point Comfort in present-day Hampton, Virginia, what we call Fort Monroe, which is a national monument for the reason of this history. As 20 and odd Africans disembarked, they had been aboard a ship, the White Lion, but prior to that, they were part of 350 who who were aboard the San Juan Batista, a Portuguese slave ship. That slave ship was met on and attacked by two privateer ships, and we believe 60 captive Africans from the Ndongo region of Angola were taken from those ships and then transported to what we know as Point Comfort. It's a deep history. It's a long history. There's so many layers.
Absolutely. And the memorial, actually, the tiling actually points towards Angola. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So there's the line to Angola. So when you're standing here, where the history happened at Fort Monroe, you're able to look out at what we call the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay, which connects with the Atlantic. And you're looking towards Angola. And that's in the spirit of Sankofa that this memorial was designed and that all of the partners come together to do this work.
And I know a lot of there were a lot of partnerships, the 1619 Project, Fort Monroe, many different people, community groups, everyone kind of had a say in it. How are you feeling today on this day, looking at how far you've come?
My goodness, do you want me to start crying right now? I was just talking with Wanda Tucker as we were walking towards the memorial, and it's unreal to think that over 10 years we've been working together to get to this moment, and there are so many people. So I have to lift up several names. Calvin Pearson, the founder of
Yes.
Project
Yes.
1619, and Dr. Bill Wiggins, as well as Larry Gibson, and many others, were very involved at the very beginning when Fort Monroe Authority and the National Park Service were first sitting down to think, can we do a memorial? Where might it be? Who needs to be at the table? And today, the community of partners continues to include Project 1619. We have Melinda Steele here with us in the audience today, who is the sitting president, along with the William Tucker 1624 Society, the Contraband Historical Society. I mean, we tell this full history from African landing to the journey to freedom.
One more question before, and I haven't forgotten about you guys, I promise. But when I think about my growing up, I had no idea that this was even here. This was not taught. Are we doing better as an ethnohistorian? Are we doing better in telling the story?
Yes, absolutely. When it comes to multiple perspectives, it is intentional. And so we are working to make sure everybody's at the table. So I represent Virginia 250 right now. I'm thinking about the American Revolution, but our freedom narrative is different when we're talking about the African American experience. You can tell the history of the American Revolution, but freedom wasn't found for African Americans at that time. So you have to tell that arc from African landing to Juneteenth in order to include all of us. And there were 14 partners at the table to plan for the commemoration this week. We have over 32 events that we've planned for this week. We're halfway. So thank you all for continuing to join us. And we hope to see you at the lectures this evening, lectures tomorrow, and of course the unveiling of the memorial on Saturday.
Okay, and you can go online to Fort Monroe's website to find out.
400 Years Forward.
400yearsforward.com to find out about everything that is happening. Dr. Wanda Tucker, first of all, I am just amazed that we finally have connected because we have talked about that for a long time. But the statue was built in the spirit of Isabel and Anthony, which were the first to have a child born here on this land, correct? And that's your family. You're a direct descendant. I wonder if you can share with us how you're feeling right now as you think about your family.
You want me to go emotional on you? So we visited the site when the figures arrived, and so they were suspended in air, and all I wanted to do was touch them. And so today I had a chance to walk up and touch them. They're not the people, but they represent my family. They represent all Black Americans. And so to be able to touch them and hug them, these figures, it was like, this is as close as I'm ever going to be to my ancestors in this way. I've read about them and I talk about them, but it feels very different to be able, these life-size figures to say, You represent the people that came here 407 years ago that I couldn't hug back then.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I hear the emotion
Yeah.
in your voice. I wonder if you could share with us how your family kept this history alive within your family. Can you talk about, like how were you told about them?
So we were told from our cousin, Thelma Green Williams, and she knew Calvin and Bill, and they had conversations, and she had dialogues with everybody, birthdays, funerals, weddings. It didn't matter. She talked about our family's history, that we are descendants of William Tucker. She did not have as much information as we have today and tracing our lineage to Angola, but the history that she knew, she shared it. And all of the stories that she knew, she shared it. And so we grew up hearing that. So in later on when I was in middle school, and my this is during my first year of integration, I was taught about the Africans as enslaved, and these were their experiences. This wasn't what I was taught in my
My
Sunday
family.
school or from
Wow.
my family, and so I got in trouble. I don't know what I said, but they put me out the classroom for a couple of days. So my brother said I'm still rebellious in that way. And so for those who did not grow up with the history that we have today, it is so touching to have a history that says we didn't appear out of nowhere. We have a beginning here in America, and we've been here longer than a whole lot of immigrants that came later.
Do you have your family cemetery is
Yes.
here also, and that's been something that your family has been very adamant about keeping up and taking care of.
Yes, the Tucker Family Cemetery is in a residential community, but the residential community was
Oh,
built
building, yeah.
around the cemetery, and it was called the Old Colored Burial Ground. And it's about a half mile from one of Captain William Tucker's property. We haven't been able to connect that yet. We'll continue to do research, so we believe it's a part of his extended property.
I know that you have spent some time also in Angola
Yes.
and in finding out your history. And I want to talk with Fernando Marquez, and he is the counselor and deputy chief of mission from Angola, who joins us today. How are you?
I'm fine, thank
Good.
you, and thank you for having us
Oh,
here.
absolutely. So when you hear all this history, when you look at this memorial, what does it mean to you? What is the connection from the other side of the Atlantic?
I'd like to start thanking for this opportunity to stay here with you guys and having also some time for sharing about our history, about what to bring to this event. I feel very pleased to be here this morning with you because I represent the Angolan government, but before I represent the government, I represent the people of Angola. And I feel that the people that we are having the opportunity to meet here in the US, and especially here in Hampton, is part of the Angolan people. And so I'm very, very pleased here. And I hope that this momentum that we are making this reconnection with the history is also a momentum for looking forward what we have in the future, what we can build from this relationship based on historical values, on what we can do for the future, for the next generations between the U.S. and Hampton specifically and the people of Angola.
I'm curious, are you are the children in Angola taught about what happened, about the enslavement and people coming to America? Is that even a conversation?
Yes, it is. We have in our schools, in our classes, we learn about history, and you know, we learn that people from our place, from our land, were like forced to go to Americas for forced labor. But we don't know exactly where these people went. And now we are discovering where these people came. And these people came to Hampton, they came to different places in Americas, and from time to time we are having the opportunity to recover this history. And thank you, the doctor. He's a historian, and I think the experts, they are doing a very good job on discovering how we can connect the past and the present and the future.
Thank you so much for being with us. We really
Yeah.
appreciate that. So, Wanda, when you went to Angola, what was that like? And were you able to actually go to the place where you think that Anthony and Isabella were lived and
Yes,
so forth?
yes, I'm sorry.
No, no.
We were able to go to Melange, where the Ndongo Kingdom was, and to be able to have that experience and met some of the officials there at the time. And I was with USA Today journalists in 2019 for that first trip. And then we went to Kwanzaa North, where there was the Masingana Fortress, where on this platform they were baptized and branded, and they were marched down a pathway before getting on a boat to go to the port of Luanda. And I had the opportunity to walk in the footsteps of my ancestors 400 years later. It was such a moving and powerful experience, knowing that everybody doesn't have that opportunity. It was a gift from the ancestors, and so I couldn't make the full journey the first time, but subsequently after that I make the journey. It's a part of my pilgrimage, and I make it, and I honor the ancestors that took that last walk.
How are you teaching the next generation in your family?
I keep learning more and sharing more, and I'm in the process of writing my first book to
Great.
tell the story.
Oh, you have to let us know because we know
Yeah.
we have to be on another
Yeah.
view.
And this is a way for our family to tell the story and not everyone else to tell our story based on what we know and what we've learned.
You know, I had an experience at the American Revolution Museum in Yorktown, and where I walked into a slave's quarters, in the slave quarters, and became so overwhelmed that I literally had to run out because I couldn't stay in there, and I just cried like crazy. So I can't imagine how emotional that this entire thing
Yes.
must be for you.
Yes. And so recently, I don't know why I couldn't put it together before, but after coming onto the Memorial Plaza, realizing the history in our backyard and walking around and say, here again, I'm walking in the footsteps of Isabella and Anthony here at home. So twice I would have had an opportunity, a privilege to walk in the footsteps of my ancestors.
Wow. Nikkolas, I want to bring you into the conversation. I haven't forgotten about you, but I love this term, archivist. But how important is it to visually show history?
I think it's one of the most important things. I'm kind of on this crusade of like I need to bring what I call educational justice to the schools because I mean I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I recall learning a ton about Davy Crockett and the Alamo and all of this. Way too much about Davy Crockett and the Alamo, and not much about my history. I when I talk to the kids now, I tell them about kind of the time periods of my picture books and like the civil rights era, and then like go back with them. Okay, 400 years ago, like Born on the Water, we talk about the beginning of America, the fight for democracy and justice for everyone. Having the immense honor to visually illustrate the Tuckers and Point Comfort. I went to Hampton University, so in the architecture group, we actually worked. We toured right here in Fort Monroe,
Yeah.
and then I go with the students, I go back, you know, I say like, okay, 400 years, long time ago. 1,000 years, a long time ago. Okay, what's 200 times 1,000? 200,000 years ago, going back to the first, you know, the first modern humans, and where we can all trace, everybody on the planet can trace back to the first, you know, modern humans in Omo Kibish in Ethiopia. And this has never been visually documented, you know, properly. And so that was just like a non-existent in the textbooks, right? So I get to talk to the kids about, you know, they were called modern humans because they were intelligent as we are. 200,000 years ago, they spoke sentences with nouns and verbs, and they made inventions for 1,000 years, you know, 100,000 years before they even left Africa.
And I think that's part of the story that gets lost, because every time we talk about, you know, this period of time when people were put into forced labor, that they just had no brain. I mean, the only thing they had was their brawn, and that's not the case at all.
Right.
You want to respond to that, ma'am?
Yes, I was thinking about just the knowledge and awareness that existed in different regions that related to who was taken from Angola or let's say the Ndongo Kingdom, Benin, what became Sierra Leone and these other places, and then where they were taken in the United States. And so the knowledge about tobacco and rotating crops and how to get the proper water and nutrients to those crops mattered, and people who had that knowledge who were brought to different places and spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk with the president, the CEO of Fort Monroe, Scott Martin. Hi, Scott. How you doing?
Howdy, howdy.
Good. So I know that you went with Wanda Tucker and her family to Angola. I wonder how that informed the rest of the work that you're doing for the memorial and for this space.
Well, when you sit with the Tucker family, who are so gracious to open their family up to us for the experience, one, you just feel love. The second thing you encounter is an Africa that is beyond anything we can compare. The energy, the youthfulness. For instance, I think I have it right, Minister, 40% of Angola's population is under the age of 15.
Wow.
And you think
under
about...
the age of 15?
Under the age of 15.
Wow.
And you think about the future of Virginia, if I may. And this is the future. So how do we connect and speak to that? And there's a group of us that work on these cultural landscapes, sites of arrival. It could be Newfoundland, where the Vikings first arrived, the Aleutians, where our Native Americans first arrived. Pick your spots. Sydney, Australia, where the first Aboriginals arrived. And you ask yourself a couple of fundamental questions on these landscapes. What do we know? What do we have? What do we love? What are we missing? And what are we going to do about it? The Angola experience impressed upon me the last question, and I leave it unanswered because we have to figure it out as a Virginia family.
Right.
What are we going to do about it? Wow. And there's no more better place to work right now than the actual land that these folks established.
Thank you so much. Well, we appreciate you allowing us to be here so that we could continue to tell the story. So I know that there's more to the memorial. There's some more things coming up. You want to talk about what else is going to be added to it?
Sure. Of course, we're engaging the figures Anthony, Isabel, and baby William in November, we're thinking. And we hope we will welcome the Ark of Hope. And so this is probably the most abstract of all of the pieces, in that it's thinking about the future. And within the next 2 years, we anticipate the relief wall. So, you know, as you and I were talking about the kinds of skills that people had, that relief wall tells you the origins of first Africans. It tells you about the disruption of the Middle Passage, but also how they helped to make America. So the contributions that those first Africans made, whether agriculturally or other, schools, churches, and other institutions that came about as a result of their presence.
Nikkolas, when you are about to start a project, or when you look at that beautiful statue there, from an artist's perspective, what are you considering to bring the story to life through either pictures or, you know, sculpture or whatever? What's kind of the process?
Usually I'm trying to look at human stories and connect them to people, a lot of times to people who would not typically empathize with those people, right? There's a lot of marginalized communities who go through a lot of issues, dating back to slavery, and I feel like if we can connect through empathy, we will become, a better society, right? So a lot of my tribute art, a lot of my picture books, they're like, I want to put a face to these stories and let people of all ages to experience.
If you're just joining us, we're broadcasting before a live audience at the African Memorial Landing at Fort Monroe as we commemorate the landing of the first Africans at what was then known as Point Comfort, now Fort Monroe, in 1619. Our guests include ethnohistorian Eola Dance, Dr. Wanda Tucker, direct descendant of two of the first Africans to arrive in 1619, and archivist, concept artist, picture book creator, film concept artist, and movie poster designer Nikkolas Smith. We will take some questions from the audience, so if you have a question, you can raise your hands. In the meantime, and there are a couple of hands that are up, Lisa, so I'm going to continue the conversation while you move towards them. And when I looked at that statue, the first thing that hit me was love. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just, when you look at their eyes, when you look at how they're holding the baby, it was just, and you think, how do you put love into a piece of metal? What do you think?
Yes, and holding the baby, hope, love, yes, and hope, and thinking of their history being torn away from their family and their country, and here to have hope that this baby represents a future. So here the statues, I don't know how Brian was able to do that, but
Brian Owens, correct?
Yes, Brian
Owens. He's the sculptor.
Yes, mm-hmm, to be able to do that so that they are human. They remind you of the human experiences and embrace them.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. What would your experience?
Absolutely. There's something about the embrace, collectively that is really compelling for me. And I do feel like a sense of overwhelmed, but it's in thinking about how people persevered, how they lived, how they created kinships, how they created community. And I feel like that comes across in looking at this first contribution to the plaza. Yeah.
I think that's such a powerful first. Mm-hmm. And I tell you also, as I was studying the relief wall that's going to be made later, oh my goodness, yes, I don't know if I could take it, but it's going to be, mm-hmm, I mean, we have to tell the truth, yes, right? It has to tell
Absolutely.
The truth. Gayleen Knoyton, one of our favorites here on Another View. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good. This is a great program, and I'm so thankful that you all are here today in my city. Eola, can you talk about the confusion with Jamestown and how Calvin Pearson and his team and Bill Wiggins, they came together and found that this is where the first 20 enslaved Africans arrived, because there's still confusion out there.
Thank you for that question. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm. And so as we approach the 400-year commemoration of Jamestown, scholars came together from all across the country, and really there were documents that were not very well known that helped to change the historical marker at Jamestown to properly say Point Comfort, which is a very specific place. Point Comfort was the official port to Jamestown, but of course was located in Elizabeth City, which is present-day Hampton. John Rolfe was the clerk of Jamestown, and he had written a letter back to England stating that none but 20 and odd Africans were traded for victuals, and really made light and actually was a little misleading about the history. He said a Dutch man of war brought these captive Africans to Point Comfort, whereas in truth, these were English privateer ships, so they were pirates.
So they captured them and
brought them
and sold
here,
them to make money.
And they sold them, and they were looking for specific people. So these are names that we hear often: Earl of Warwick and others who were involved in the Caribbean with trade. So there were two ships. We've talked about the White Lion, but the other was the Treasurer. The Treasurer did not have proper papers. And so they actually went to Bermuda and then came back about a week and a half later and brought, and we're not sure of exact numbers, but there is so much history that through this work that Calvin Pearson, as well as Linda Haywood, John Thornton, Joyce Hobson, and others were doing in preparation for the 400 year at Jamestown that really brought to light this true history. One other collection for all our scholars, because I see some in your audience, this is exciting, is the Sluter collection at Berkeley. So according to Linda Haywood, you cannot write properly about 1619 if you don't look at this Sluter collection, which was in Spanish but was translated into English, and that is how we learned of the raid that took place. There was an insurance claim that was put on those captive Africans removed from that ship.
Wow. We have another question from our audience.
Yes, thank you for having me here. My name is Nilo Rafael Figueroa. I live here in Newport News, and I had a chance to look at the statue and how it's juxtapositioned with the arrow to Angola, and it brought three things in mind. One, the way, if you look between the shoulders of the parents holding the child, you can see the beeline straight to the arrow. Second is the expression of hope, as you mentioned. And then the child as the hope. But to me, the bigger thing is 250 years into this experiment called the United States, it inspires me to be a better American because we can, in spite of human trafficking, in spite of all the ills that can be created, there can be a parent, a family, and a hope. And I'm hoping that we are that family.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I wonder, as we look at what's happening today and we talk about the efforts to erase all of this, you know, I'm sure that there's some people someplace in this country that would be having a heart attack right about now. Anyway, but the fact of the matter is we have to keep telling our story, don't we?
Absolutely. Our family has been here for 407 years. And so we can't erase that or even the attempts to erase it. We're still here. We have survived. We have witnessed America evolved. We have witnessed democracy come and sometimes go. These Africans and African Americans have witnessed this. Even if we were not given credit for being here or recognized in history, we're still here. And we're still witnesses of all that has happened. So we have to keep telling the stories.
Absolutely. Eola?
I'm loving that Wanda just said we're still here, and we see our dear colleague Phyllis Terrell here. And this has really come forward as our mantra for the commemoration. And all of you who come back on Saturday and participate at 9 with the Tuckers and at 10:30 with the Commonwealth, that is what we're rallying around, is this reality that we're here. We made this, so we contributed to the making of America, and we're going to contribute to freedom.
Because this whole, even though, you know, you had scholars and so forth, you really engaged the community.
Oh,
also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So whether you're talking K through 12 and youth who have been here and participating and engaged in drumming and learning the history and telling the history. And I have to also say our Native American community is very actively involved in the history that we're telling as well. And so the Nansman Indian Nation, as well as several other Virginia tribes, are present and at the table. This is whole history, the work that we've been doing.
We have another question from the audience.
We are actually in the cradle of African American civilization because the first Africans landed here. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the baptismal records. I think you were talking specifically the fact that William Tucker was baptized, and that's why we even have his name. Could you tell us a little bit about that, as well as some upcoming things that you will be doing with the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, or ASALH?
We actually will be doing a show about ASALH next Thursday at noon. So thank you for that. But go ahead, Wanda.
In the 1624-1625 census record, Captain William Tucker did something that no other plantation owners did. He recorded that Isabel, it's recorded this way: Anthony Negro, Isabella Negro, and their child William baptized. He recognized them as baptized, and also right above their names is William Crawshaw, an Indian baptized. So they were in his household. This is the only record that shows that type of history. Not only names, but they were baptized. And I believe that because they were baptized, he wrestled with, can we enslave Christians? And so my family grew up believing that our ancestors, Isabella, Anthony, and William, were free. And so that's a different narrative and conversation that we need to continue to have as well. And we'll have that conversation tonight, yes. as words matter, whether they were free, whether they were enslaved, whether they were indentured servants. So it's a rich and deep conversation, and complicated. The history is complicated, what's in there and what's not in there, and which you have to infer from other records. And so for me and my family to be involved in this deep dialogue is phenomenal and interesting. And so baptism and the role of religion is a critical part of the conversation that is not always discussed. Yes.
Yeah. We also have Thomas Wilkins, Maestro Thomas Wilkins, with us with Virginia Symphony Orchestra. And in addition to everything that's going on with you all, there's also a concert coming up in honor of this memorial.
Yeah, great to see you. That concert is Saturday night at 7:30 at the Ferguson Center for the Arts in Newport News. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of speechless after hearing these stories being told. Wanda and Eola, our leg of participation in this event was to do exactly what they have been talking about, is retell the either untold or unknown stories, but from a musical perspective. And you talked about people that you hadn't heard of in your training. The same thing with you. And I went to one of the world's greatest conservatories, and I didn't even know William Grant Still or Florence Price existed as a composer. I knew about Brahms and Beethoven and Haydn and Mozart, but not until I was an adult. And so now we are in the business of retelling and telling for the first time stories of people like Florence Price, who is on this program, and Margaret Bonds, who is on this program, and William Grant Still, and of course Duke Ellington, who is also on this program. And so just in the last 40 minutes, I have come to the realization that this thing that we are doing on Saturday is so much bigger than just a concert, and it's a part of a much grander story than just the notes on the page. And so it's an honor for us to be a part of this.
And this concert is free, correct?
This concert is...
Is it? Yes. Yes.
So they tell me it's free.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is free and open to the public to come on. That's at 7:30.
Right. Yeah, 7:30 Saturday.
At the Ferguson Center.
And we have a chorus that's being conducted by my colleague Terry Butler, and a singer, and we have music with just piano and singer and orchestra and singer and orchestra and chorus. And then, I'm going to say really quickly, we were talking about this view and looking out, and one of the pieces on the program is William Dawson's Afro-American Symphony, Negro Folk Symphony. And the opening of that symphony is one single French horn calling out across the water, just like this view, looking back towards home. And then the rest of the symphony, and we will actually play the end of the story, which is Oh Let Me Shine Like a Morning Star, this idea of hope and aspiration, and so this hope thing that has been mentioned today, I've always said that hope is the gift given to us in exchange for our inability to predict the future, and therefore a better gift. And so it's something that we want to encourage future generations to hold on to as we continue to tell the story.
Thank you so much for coming out and joining us today. We do appreciate that very, very much. Do we have one more question from the audience, or no?
Check. Peace and blessings, everybody. My name is Jafari Jones. I'm the president of BLM 757, also known as Black Lives Matter 757. And I would first like to thank y'all for preserving and making sure that our history is being told. And my question is more so, we've been able to make some history, some waves here, and we've been active for about 10 years and seeing the shape and the mold of Virginia and all this deep history, including here in 1619 and Southampton with Nat Turner and everything else that's going on. Most of the time when I come into rooms like this, I'm the youngest in the room, and I'm not really that young. And also, it's not predominantly us, and we're not telling our history to. Is there any room? Is there a way that we can collaborate, or is there room for collaboration in any way that we can get the youth more involved so they know where they came from, so they know significance of this land? We have Hampton University right around the corner. We have North,
right
across the water, and that history.
Sorry about the microphone. We have some audio issues, but I get your gist of your question. So let me let the audience respond to that. Yeah. How do we get the youth involved, Eola?
Absolutely. Well, number one is you have to create the seat at the table, and it's about empowering the youth to use their voice themselves, in contrast to us telling them exactly what to do. And creating the opportunities for them to explore the history. We have an incredible partnership with the city of Hampton. And just this week with the Unity office, with Gabe Diaz, with Hampton History Museum, with Hampton University. We were there for the kickback, and there is endless opportunity. The key is structured and guided activities. So it's not just simply opening your doors, it is creating a quality experience for the next generation.
So perhaps we got plenty of time for conversation and collaboration. So thank you very much for that question. We appreciate that. Nikkolas, what do you want to say to people about consuming history? Be it through art, be it through written word, be it through conversations like this. What do you want to tell people to be thinking about as they're interacting with history?
Well, usually I'm always trying to, through the visuals, I always include a poem or some sort of prompt, and a lot of times I'm asking questions. So I'll say for the history of I start off with this lush valley, Omokivish, Ethiopia, and ask a question that says, what did the beginning look like? So just trying to engage people and to think about, what were those stories that have been swept under the rug and forgotten about? For Born on the Water, I always write, I say in this, when I'm signing the book, I say, with liberty and ... to ask people who is justice for all for? Is justice for all, or what is all, And so I think that's one thing that this book points to. And those are the types of things where I feel like if we can answer these questions, or just throw these questions out there, and then we all just talk about it, it'll really help us connect the dots and move forward.
So I want to give you a chance also, because I know we've been talking about your illustrations for children's books, but you've done some really heavy duty Wakanda Forever stuff going on. Tell us about some of the movies and so forth that you've done the posters for, and you've done creative work on.
So one thing I'm thankful that once I got to Hampton, I realized there was this amazing pipeline to Disney. And I became a Disney Imagineer after Hampton University for 11 years. Along that path, I ran into Ryan Coogler a lot. So I was like, hey, we should do some art together. We should do some stuff together. So I've been working with him on Space Jam and all the stuff that he's working on. Judas and the Black Messiah, being able to work on Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, being able to meet Chadwick Boseman on the set of Black Panther, and just the king, and to work with Ruth Carter. We worked on Sinners together, so I'm always just trying to visualize. Ryan Coogler gives me the script. I try to visualize his words, and we just make some magic.
Y'all see what kind of magic Another Few brings you? Congratulations. That is just fantastic. And your degree is in architecture?
Architecture, yes. Right.
You got tired of drawing sticks and lines? Is that? I mean,
I felt like I
lines
needed
and dashes.
to be a little more, I don't know, a little more right brain, or I don't know if it's left brain or right brain. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. Tell me some more things that people can experience if they come this week.
Yes, absolutely. We hope to see you this afternoon at 4 o'clock at the Fort Monroe Visitor Center. We have a discussion with the descendants of the White Lion, brought to you by the William Tucker 1624 Society. Immediately after, Project 1619 is hosting Words Matter, Remembering the Enslaved. And Virginia 250, we are so pleased to welcome our Secretary of the Administration, Tracy DeShazer, in conversation with Shannon Lanier. Now, Shannon is the 9th great-grandson of Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings.
Wow.
And so as we think about the complexity of this history, whether it's freedom, whether it's relationship, we want to have a whole and complete dialogue. And so Shannon has decided to come and join us. So we're looking forward to that.
Wanda, I know that the Tucker family, you know, your name is known. You guys are really into this, but I'm curious, is all the Tucker family as enthusiastic as you are? I see your brother over there laughing, so...
I think some of them are getting there. I think some of them are getting there. But what is phenomenal is, as a part of our dialogue this afternoon, is we have 2 more White Lion descendants that will be with us at 4 o'clock. So we have Rick Murphy and Edward Davis. So we know that there are many, many more descendants. The Tucker name may be out there prominently, but there are many more, and we want to welcome other White Lion descendants, or the descendants of those early ships within the first 9 years. And we know that they're out there, and we're looking forward to getting together so that people can learn the history, and they can also be the ones telling their own stories.
How closely did the oral history from your experience within your family align with, well, how closely does the oral history that you learned from your family align with the history that you're learning as a scholar?
And so knowing that we are descendants of William Tucker, that part is documented.
Okay.
So that's accurate. And then there were other pieces that were not quite as aligned. And we have even a story of a free Tucker that became enslaved later. So we know slavery is also a part of our family later on. We don't know the date or year, but we do have record of that. So there are pieces of the story and how they came from Isle of Wight across the James River. So there are pieces of the story that we can embrace. And then some pieces we're like, I'm not quite sure that happened like that, because the historical context doesn't support some of that.
Let me see if we can get one more question in from the audience.
I am just amazed at what I'm experiencing here today. I am R.E. LeBlanc. I am a retired teacher, high school teacher in Chesapeake, and I'm now a full-time producer. I'm currently working on a project called Chasing Freedom, which asks the question, what truly is freedom, and what it has meant to different people throughout history. This gentleman over here before me, I think he kind of stole a little bit of my question, but I'm going to make it short.
Yeah, because we got less than 5 minutes.
We got less than 5 minutes. All right. So when young people visit the memorial, what do you hope they understand differently about American history?
Eola, I'll start with you, and then I'll come to you.
I'll try to keep it brief, too. Number one, that our history does not begin with slavery. I want them to understand who we were before slavery.
Wanda?
And I want them to know that America's Black history started here on this site. That's in their backyard. That's local. America's Black history.
Wow. We have any other questions from the audience? We got 2 more minutes. Go ahead. Gayleen has got another quick question. She's got a lot of questions today.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
No.
This is more about, look around our site. Everyone goes to Martha's Vineyard in record numbers. This should be the Martha Vineyards of the South, the African landing for the nation and for the world. And so next year, I challenge everyone to expand our reach and bring people here so this can be the Martha Vineyards of the South and for our history. Thank you. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much, man. I know you just got chills. Go ahead, talk about it.
Gayleen said this, and Gayleen and I we work on many projects, and there's a connected history between Hampton and Martha's Vineyard. So Bartholomew Gosnold was documenting the coast. He named Cape Cod, he named Martha's Vineyard after his daughter, and Gosnold Hope Park is named after him. So this isn't abstract. These are connected histories, and we really have a history to tell, and we have the right people at the table to tell that history.
So we have like 2 minutes left. I want each of you to give some encouragement to people to go find the history, either their personal history or the history in general. And I will start with you, Nikkolas. We'll start on that end.
I would say I always try to tell the young people to whatever it is that your passion is. I think everybody's creative. I start by saying, raise your hand if you're an artist. I think everybody's an artist. Pair that creativity with something that you feel like is broken. There's a lot of brokenness in the world. What needs to be fixed? Put those things together and you will make artivism. So make some artivism.
Thank you. Dr. Tucker. Dr. Wanda Tucker.
For people to interview their elders, learn the history while they are alive, because then when there's the funeral, there's a different conversation. But the history that they miss is lost. And I believe someone said the other day, when a elder dies, a library is burned. And that was a powerful statement and imagery that they gave us.
Yeah, very much so. Eola.
I think Scott Martin will agree with me on this. I want you to engage where the history happened. So I want you to come to the sites, to the commemorations, to those places, and just really take the time to connect with place and space.
Because when you come here, you really want to come and you want to sit, and you want to watch it for a while.
Yes,
don't you?
Absolutely. And people often ask, what is the one thing that's the same? And it's that water. The sound of those waves crashing is something we can share with the ancestors. That we experienced that together.
Audience, have you had a good time? Thank you all so very much. That was ethnohistorian Eola Dance, Dr. Wanda Tucker, direct descendant of Anthony and Isabel and William, and also artivist, concept artist, picture book creator, film concept artist, and movie poster designer Nikkolas Smith. Audience, we hope that you will come to the African Memorial Landing at Fort Monroe and learn this history for yourself. There are activities planned now through this Saturday, including the official unveiling of the newest installation called The Figures on Saturday, August 29th at 11 a.m. So you can go to, what's that website again?
400 Years Forward.
400yearsforward.com. 400yearsforward.com. Next week on Another View, we continue our journey through Black history with ASALA, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. Our theme music is an original composition created especially for Another View by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Jordan Christie and Victor Bowen are our audio engineers for this remote broadcast. Dr. Barry Graham monitored the show from our WHRO studios. And special thanks to volunteers Sally Miller and Ben Leonard, staff Catherine Gillespie, Kelsey Bakke, Andre Jones, Amy Houck, Nicole Cleveland, Casey Tyler, Rhonda Hayes, Mike Diller, Heather Mazzoni, Bert Schmidt. It takes a village in order to put this show together. Thanks so much for being with us, and we'll see you again next Thursday at noon for Another View.
Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, carrying out your charitable wishes forever, whether it's helping shelter animals, feeding the homeless, enhancing the arts, or supporting students. Learn more at leaveabequest.org.